Eminent Victorians, 1918, comprises 4 concise biographies penned by Lytton Strachey. While not comprehensive, these biographies spotlight key aspects of each subject's life. Employing Freudian psychology to delve into their neuroses, Strachey delves into the lives of Cardinal Henry Edward Manning, Florence Nightingale, Dr. Thomas Arnold, and General Charles Gordon. The initial biography centers on Cardinal Manning, in which Strachey challenges the Oxford movement during a transformative period within the Church of England. The Church had grown complacent, prompting a group of young men to initiate the Oxford movement. This movement aimed to reinvigorate the Church by returning to a more traditional form of Christianity, countering the influences of Protestantism and secularism. Manning, an initial adherent of the movement as a young rector, eventually dissociated from its tenets when he realized that a return to the Church's roots necessitated embracing Catholicism. This shift faced resistance from Church authorities and ultimately led to the decline of the Oxford movement. By the age of 38, Manning had ascended within the Church's ranks. His studies encompassed various saints and the works of Aquinas and Augustine. Despite these endeavors, internal religious turmoil persisted. Ultimately, Manning converted to Catholicism, sparking a significant controversy. Following the passing of the Catholic cardinal in England, Manning assumed the role of archbishop and became a cardinal himself in 1875. Following Pope Pius IX's demise, Manning was considered a potential successor but declined the opportunity, allowing Leo XIII to be elected instead. Manning passed away in 1892 at the age of 84. In Florence Nightingale's biography, Strachey challenges the commonly held perception of her as a saintly figure gliding from bedside to bedside, miraculously healing the sick. Instead, he asserts that a demon possessed her, portraying the real Nightingale as a brilliant yet difficult individual. The reliability of his portrayal is debatable, as even in 1915, when her biography was penned, a fiercely determined and intelligent woman might have appeared monstrous to Strachey. Florence Nightingale defied societal norms by pursuing a nursing career, a scandalous and inconceivable choice for a woman of her gentle birth. Strachey's narrative chiefly revolves around her nursing experiences during the Crimean War, 1853–56, and her subsequent endeavors to reform the War Office. Arriving at warfront hospitals in 1854, she encountered harrowing conditions, short-staffed, undersupplied, unsanitary, and marked by numerous deficiencies. Nightingale's arrival brought supplies and financial aid, revealing her astute management of resources. This contrasted with certain men who diverted funds intended for war necessities and medical care to construct a new church. Through her efforts, she initiated reforms in Scutari hospitals, enhancing wounded soldiers' food quality, hygiene standards, clothing distribution, and laundry services. She discovered that supplies often languished on ships, crossing the sea multiple times before reaching their intended destinations. After the war, Nightingale returned to England with health complications, yet she continued to live for another 5 decades, actively engaging in hospital reforms and efforts involving the War Office. Turning to Dr. Arnold's biography, the focus shifts to education system reform. Assuming the headmastership of rugby at the young age of 33, Arnold aimed to inculcate 3 core values in his students: religious devotion, gentlemanly conduct, and intellectual rigor. These values resonated with parents who saw limited value in classical education. However, his students engaged in the study of Greek, Latin, basic arithmetic, and literature. Notably, scientific subjects were omitted from the curriculum. Additionally, he delivered compelling Sunday sermons that consistently left an impact on the congregants. Dr. Arnold introduced a prefectorial system inspired by Old Testament theocratic structures. The sixth form boys assumed authority over their younger peers, including the power to discipline, while they themselves remained immune from chastisement. He ardently championed the integration of church and state, a vision that remained unrealized. Tragically, Dr. Arnold passed away on his 47th birthday, potentially succumbing to heart trouble akin to his father's condition. The concluding biography focuses on General Gordon. In his youth, he distinguished himself in the Crimea and later confronted significant challenges involving the Chinese government. Nonetheless, his predominant efforts were dedicated to Africa, particularly Sudan. His endeavors to civilize Central Africa were largely met with obstacles, ranging from insects and tropical diseases to native resistance, unyielding slave traders, and apathy among those under his command and higher-ups. Strachey portrays Gordon as somewhat unstable, lacking diplomacy or tact. He possessed a fierce temper that oscillated swiftly from humor to rage, and from exuberance to deep despondency. His final venture ended in dismal failure, marked by a siege at Khartoum, where religious fundamentalists nearly overthrew the Egyptian occupation. Despite English reluctance to intervene, Gordon found himself unable to retreat. By the time relief forces arrived, it was already too late. Gordon lost his life in combat as the palace fell to the invaders. In its entirety, Eminent Victorians heralded a revolution in the biographical genre. Preceding this work, biographies often took a tone of adoring admiration, highlighting positive aspects of the subject while sidelining or glossing over any unfavorable attributes. In contrast, Strachey boldly presents his subject in an unflattering manner. However, it's important for readers to consider two aspects concerning this book. Firstly, effective research typically involves a blend of primary and secondary sources. Yet, Strachey predominantly relies on secondary sources, which implies that instead of delving into original documents, primary sources, he primarily draws upon existing writings about his subjects penned by others, secondary sources. A review in The Guardian captures this perspective, stating, "Eminent Victorians would revolutionize the biographical genre, not through the force of its content or the integrity of its method." His portrayals of these 19th-century imperial figures are incisive yet untrustworthy, brilliant yet biased, and captivating yet frequently unoriginal. Secondly, Strachey occasionally demonstrates a lack of precision in the accuracy of his details. For instance, despite asserting that Cardinal Manning was born in 1807 right at the outset of the book, reputable sources such as the Encyclopaedia Britannica and others all concur that the correct year is 1808. I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave a like if you did and be sure to subscribe. Thank you.